Look, it's Simon. Today's the 14th. It's day 26. It's a little bit later in the morning than usual. Went to Whole Foods a bit earlier than I guess what would have normally, because we had the skip ahead for daylight savings, as my wife was fond to remind me of. Yesterday I had a game of rugby to referee, and the body haven't done a lot of running, and there's a lot of running involved in refereeing rugby, and I was a little worried that the body was actually going to be out of shape for it. I've been working out a lot, but running fitness and general fitness sort of only marginally intersect, I think. I mean, they intersect a lot, but not necessarily as much as you would like. You can't just go to the gym and do weights and then expect to be good at running. But from the waist down, the body is feeling absolutely abused. Every muscle in my legs is telling me to stop doing that. And then in the afternoon, I ended up meeting up with a friend, someone who's sort of my older person role model, someone who's been very successful with their life, and as a result, when they talk about things, I have a tendency to listen and try them all on to see how well they'll fit in my life, and ended up drinking a bunch of beers and having some big delicious greasy lunches, which was nice. It was nice to have and it was all paid for, thank God. So I was very grateful for that. But one of the things that I noticed yesterday was previously when I've refereed, I might have been in the middle of binging, or I might have been in the middle of a use cycle. And when I went out to referee, I was always more nervous. And then I would get out and I would make the kinds of mistakes. You know, if you show up high, then you're gonna make those kinds of mistakes. And I think you can equate this to work too, as being high when you go to work, or high when you're dealing with your relationships, or high when you're trying to have a difficult conversation with someone, or you're high when you go to a funeral, and like that dope barrier prevents you from really being able to express and express your competence. And not being in that kind of headspace yesterday meant that I was much better positioned to actually make good decisions about the game, and my manner with the guys was young high school guys. My manner with them was actually really good, and it was easy to get into the mode of leading the game, and not worrying about what everybody else was sort of saying, whereas when I've been on the drugs, there's a tendency to worry about what the coaches are thinking or saying, and I'm not focusing just on my part of the game. And they were good. I established standards at the beginning, and the game went really smoothly. And I was able to make good decisions. My positioning was good. My brain was thinking to sort of one step ahead of where the players were, so I never really felt like I was out of position, and I'd say 90% of my calls were actually right. So that's, for a referee, you can't really ask for much better than that. Off topic, we'll finish up with on topic, I suppose. As far as video games are concerned, the more I distance myself from their use, the more I realize the reason why I distance myself. We talked about that a couple of days ago, about the fact that I'm working from home now, and it's hard to put them away and use them in moderation. But also yesterday when I was talking with this friend, I was like, as a 37-year-old playing video games in place of sort of more substantial things just didn't feel right. And this friend of mine reminded me that it's important to have a hierarchy, or like a higher authority or a higher power that you either belong to, or you subscribe to, or ascribe to. And I think that that's been something that I've been living without, and maybe one of the reasons why I kept going back to using, particularly to video games and marijuana. I think maybe the lack of having that higher purpose was why I kept going back to dope, because when I thought about it last night, I was like, well, what was my rock? Like, what was the solid place for me? And it was marijuana. It was marijuana, and it was video games. They were known quantities. They were something that I could always rely on to make me feel good and just distract me from the fact that I was not living the fullest life that I probably could have. And as a result, I've been thinking more about that and thinking more about what that means in terms of personal gains. And another thing that he brought up that I thought was quite useful was, when you don't understand what your current value system is, you're not going to be able to direct yourself towards prioritizing the things that that align with your value system. So if you're a person who's, deeply humorous and earthbound and, whatever, then you're going to have different goals than someone who's more focused on material wealth and the pursuit thereof. And I haven't done a value analysis. I haven't done an analysis of my own values in a long time, so I think it's time to actually do that. I got a tidbit from him, a place to go do that, and have a look, and then see whether or not the things that I'm doing now line up with the values that I have, and if they are, and they do, how they should be prioritized in terms of the way that I address them. And this is not something that I would have really come to understand, I think, in the midst of a drug binge, or if I was still sort of compulsively playing video games. I feel like that cycle prevents you from really exploring your higher purpose and your sort of your higher being. And the stuff that I've been doing the last 26 days has been really good, but I think it's sort of just the first steps. I took the first major step last year when I started changing my behavior and the way I talked about myself when it came to my relationships, and now it's about figuring out where to put the eggs in the baskets and how many eggs go in which baskets, and sort of investing for the future in a lot of ways. So yeah, all really kind of positive developments, and feeling like the universe has been like, hey, these things that I've been getting you into, these things that I've been having you do, are good, and you've got your eyes open, and if you continue to follow through with these, the gains will continue in the future. So I guess this is a reminder for myself to stay with it, to stick with it, and just keep following that guidance, that sort of that higher power guidance, whether it's God or universe or whatever, like the stuff that's been put in front of me, that I've been going, okay, it's in front of me, I'm going to deal with it, has actually been really helping make my life better, and make it not just better like money or comfort, but more enjoyable and more satisfying. So anyway, that's all for me for today. Like I said, day 26. We got a month coming up here pretty soon, and on the month I'll try to do. I think I'm going to try to do a video on something a little different, that's related but not related. But otherwise, yeah, that's it for me. Ka kite.